abandoned or haunted places have stirred both horror and intrigue in people for centuries. Each ghost and haunted location carries a chilling story. Today, we will explore places that have become the final resting grounds for dozens, if not hundreds, of spirits. Leap Castle, Ireland. Leap Castle is a historic fortress in County Offaly, Ireland. The castle's darkest era occurred under the O'Carroll clan, known for their brutal practices. They hosted bloody feasts, inviting enemies for apparent reconciliation, only to eliminate them during or after the meal. A hidden trapdoor in the Great Hall led to an underground chamber with a floor covered in sharpened spikes. Guests who fell through either died instantly or were left to perish among the decomposing bodies of others. The dungeon was discovered only recently. During restoration, archaeologists uncovered 3 cartloads of human bones, totaling the remains of 150 individuals. According to legend, in 1532, an O'Carroll family member killed his priest brother during Mass, stabbing him in the chest. This room became known as the Bloody Chapel, and visitors have reported seeing the ghost of the priest and hearing his footsteps and moans. The castle is reputed to host numerous ghosts, including the most feared, the Elemental. This eerie spirit appears as a sheep with a rotting head, and its presence is marked by a foul odor. The Elemental is said to have emerged when the dungeon was uncovered, revealing the victims of the O'Carroll clan. Eastern State Penitentiary, USA. Eastern State Penitentiary, located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, opened in 1829 as an innovative facility dedicated to reform through solitary confinement. Designed by architect John Haviland, it featured a radial layout with individual cells intended to promote reflection and penitence. Inmates were kept in near-total isolation, with minimal human contact, which was thought to encourage rehabilitation. However, the practice of solitary confinement proved to be psychologically damaging. The rigid system included severe punishments and torture methods, such as extended periods of silence, sensory deprivation, and harsh physical restraints. The use of the hole, a small dark cell where prisoners were isolated for extended periods, and the flogging chair, where inmates were whipped, were particularly brutal. Closed in 1971, the penitentiary became notorious as a haunted location due to its dark history and the suffering experienced by its inmates. It is famed for its eerie atmosphere and numerous reports of paranormal activity. Visitors and staff have reported seeing ghostly figures, hearing disembodied voices, and experiencing sudden drops in temperature. Pia Island, Italy. This small island, just 4 square kilometers in size, lies near Venice and Lido Island. Legend has it that during the Roman Empire, Waverly was a site where plague victims, often with their families, were exiled to die from starvation. Rumors suggest that the dead were sometimes burned with the living. Farming is now banned on the island due to the ashes of over 160,000 people contaminating the soil. Their ghosts are said to still haunt the area. The island's dark reputation intensified in 1922 with the opening of a psychiatric hospital. Stories claim that the doctor conducted cruel experiments, including lobotomies performed without anesthesia using a saw. When patients rebelled, they threw the doctor from the bell tower, and a supernatural fog is said to have consumed his body. Some even hear the sound of a bell that was removed long ago. Today, the island is off the beaten path, with no mass tours available. Access is only by private transport with an unofficial guide, as official visits have been banned since the mid-20th century. The site has no preserved buildings or infrastructure, and wildlife is absent. The ruins and chilling atmosphere make it reminiscent of Shutter Island. Modern psychics believe it has an intense concentration of negative energy. No tourist has managed to stay more than a day, usually just taking a few photographs of the haunting landscape. Well, as we move on to the next place, subscribe to my channel if you love mysterious places and exciting facts. Waverly Hills Sanatorium, USA. Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Louisville, Kentucky, is notorious for its dark history and paranormal reputation. Built in 1910 to address a tuberculosis epidemic, it became a state-of-the-art facility in 1924 to manage the growing number of patients. Treatment methods were severe and included ultraviolet light exposure and invasive procedures like balloon implants to expand lungs, often leading to complications or death. Many patients died from the disease or these brutal treatments, with their bodies secretly transported out through an underground tunnel to avoid alarming others. The sanatorium closed in 1961 as tuberculosis cases declined and reopened briefly as a geriatric facility, but deteriorating conditions led to its final closure in 1982. Today, Waverly Hills is known for its haunting activity. Paranormal investigators and visitors report ghostly apparitions, disembodied voices, and strange noises. Room 502 is particularly infamous for sightings of a spectral nurse linked to the suicides of two nurses, one who hung herself and another who jumped from the roof. The sanatorium's grim history and ghostly occurrences continue to attract those intrigued by the supernatural. Chateau de Tressesson, France. Chateau de Tressesson, located in the Brocéliande forest of Brittany, is known for its eerie atmosphere rather than its luxury. Built in the late 14th to early 15th centuries during the Hundred Years' War, the castle's private ownership makes it closed to the public, though private tours can be arranged. The chateau is famous for ghost stories, particularly those involving noisy poker players and the White Lady. Legend says that 3 centuries ago, and possibly even now, ghostly poker players gather to bet with gold coins, served by spectral attendants. The most notable legend dates back to 1824, but describes events from the mid-18th century. One night, a poacher witnessed men in black burying a woman in a wedding dress alive, accusing her of dishonoring their family. Though the poacher reported this to the Lord, they arrived too late to save her. Although the relics were lost during revolutionary events, the White Lady's ghost is said to appear near the castle on full moon nights. Winchester Mystery House, USA. The Winchester Mystery House in San Jose, California, is famous for its peculiar architecture and ghostly legends. Built in 1884 by Sarah Winchester, widow of the Winchester rifle inventor, the mansion's endless construction was driven by her belief that she was haunted by spirits of those killed by her husband's rifles. A medium advised her to keep building to appease these spirits, resulting in a house with 160 rooms, staircases to nowhere, and doors leading into walls. After Sarah's death in 1922, the mansion became renowned for its paranormal activity. Visitors frequently report encountering several spirits. The Lady in White, believed to be Sarah, wandering the halls or appearing in windows. The ghostly carpenter, thought to be an original builder, seen moving about as if still working, and the spirit of a young girl playing with a ball. Disembodied voices echo through the empty rooms. Phantom footsteps are heard in vacant corridors, and mysterious lights are often reported. The Winchester Mystery House continues to intrigue visitors with its blend of architectural oddities and haunting legends. Port Arthur Penal Settlement, Australia. Port Arthur, on Tasmania's Tasman Peninsula, is infamous for its brutal history as a 19th century penal colony, earning the moniker Hell on Earth. Established in 1833, it housed some of Britain's most hardened convicts, subjected to inhumane conditions. Shackled inmates labored under grueling conditions, while solitary confinement in dark, damp cells drove many to madness. Commandant Charles Boot, notorious for his cruelty, introduced extreme punishments like floggings and dark cells, pushing prisoners to the brink. Today, Port Arthur is a hotspot for paranormal activity. Visitors encounter ghostly apparitions of officers and prisoners, hear disembodied voices, and see glowing orbs. Some report sudden, intense cold spots and eerie sensations of being watched or touched. Photographs have captured unsettling images, like a glowing mist passing through a visitor's body. The nearby Isle of the Dead, a grim cemetery for thousands of unclaimed bodies, deepens the haunting atmosphere. How many souls remain trapped in this harrowing place? Would you have the courage to visit such a place? Write in the comments. Mary King's Close in Edinburgh, Scotland. Mary King's Close is an underground warren beneath the Old Town. Named after a 17th century merchant, it once had narrow alleys with tall buildings. In the 17th century, unsanitary conditions led to a devastating plague. Contrary to popular belief, the close wasn't sealed with plague victims inside. Those who stayed used white flags to signal for supplies. Plague Doctor George Ray, in his crow-beaked mask, treated the sick using brutal methods that saved many lives. After the plague, part of Mary King's Close was demolished for the Royal Exchange and eventually sealed off. Rediscovered in the 20th century, it reopened as a tourist attraction. Today, Mary King's Close is known for ghostly activity. Sightings include disembodied limbs, a ghostly dog, and Annie, a little girl who died during the plague. Visitors often leave dolls for Annie and report seeing apparitions, feeling cold spots, and hearing eerie sounds, cementing its haunted reputation. The Queen Mary, California, USA. In 1936, the luxurious liner Queen Mary was built and named after the wife of King Edward VII. Accommodating over 3,000 passengers and crew, it surpassed the Titanic and began its maiden voyage on May 27, 1936. During World War II, it was repurposed for troop transport, earning the nickname Grey Ghost due to eerie incidents on board. The ship's haunted reputation began with the deaths of several workers during construction. Over the years, more deaths occurred, including elderly passengers dying of heart attacks and suicides. During the war, it carried up to 16,000 soldiers in cramped conditions, with one journey resulting in hundreds of deaths due to disease. The liner also accidentally sliced through an Allied ship, killing over 300 people. Survivors claim to hear echoes of the collision at night. After the war, mysterious drownings in the onboard pool led to its closure. Unexplained deaths and injuries, particularly in Cabin 13, added to the haunted lore. Ghost sightings have been reported since the late 1930s, and mediums believe there are about 600 ghosts aboard. Paranormal researcher Peter James dedicated his life to studying the ship's hauntings, claiming it to be the most haunted place he had ever researched. Visitors report seeing ghostly figures, hearing unexplained noises, and feeling cold spots. Despite its dark history, the Queen Mary remains a popular tourist attraction. Like this video if places like this make your blood run cold. Hotel del Salto at Tequendama Falls, Colombia. Tequendama Falls, 30 kilometers southwest of Bogotá, Colombia, draws thousands of tourists with its stunning valley views. The nearby Hotel del Salto, built in 1928, was once a successful luxury spot. Closed abruptly in the early 1990s, the hotel became steeped in dark legend. Some claim it is cursed, forcing the owners to flee. The location has since become a magnet for suicides, with an eerie atmosphere driving people to madness. Rumors of numerous ghosts haunting the old building add to its allure. Discussions to reopen and restore the hotel arose, with ghost stories of fights and struggles in the bar, and tales of people jumping off the cliff for forgiveness. Now restored, the mansion houses the Tequendama Falls Biodiversity and Culture Museum. Environmentalists and local authorities have cleaned the river and its tributaries. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Thank you!